The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Dr. Grace, tell us about what's going on with Benghazi this week. Some amazing turn of events.
Well, you know, Carl, during these Obama years, it seems like every time I'm on, there's bad news. But at least this week, we can report that so many of us who fought for the truth in Benghazi have been vindicated. So we get some good news.
Okay.
This week, two major events. You had 450 pages of previously classified documents that have been declassified. It's all the behind-the-doors testimony on Benghazi. And also, a Senate panel, a bipartisan Senate panel, put forward their report. When you combine all the evidence that has come out, this is the result. It is very, very clear that the State Department was warned repeatedly that there was not enough security for the ambassador at the compound in Benghazi.
Right.
You had General Carter Ham, who was the head of AFRICOM, and George Bristol, a Marine colonel. They both testified that they notified the State Department repeatedly about the situation. And the Senate report says that this attack should have been prevented. And the Senate report squarely blames the State Department, and you know who was the head of the State Department at the time? Hillary Clinton.
Wait a minute. The Senate report doesn't blame a video?
They don't blame a video. In addition, Carl, this is the other piece of incredible information. We now know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the individual reports coming from the ground were clearly that the compound was under attack.
Yeah.
And the Defense Secretary, Leon Panetta, was told within 15 minutes of the commencement of hostilities that it was a terrorist attack. He testified that he had a meeting subsequently with the President of the United States, and he told the President that it was a terrorist attack.
Wow.
So the President has been caught in another lie.
No, Grace, Grace, you're a racist.
She's a racist.
You're a racist.
That's all there is to it.
You're a racist, Grace. I'm telling you, I don't know if I want you back on. You are a racist, a blatant racist. You're one of those Canadians, too. Are all of you Canadians like that?
You know, I'm one of those people pursuing this quote-unquote phony scandal, right, Carl?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Tinfoil hat racist.
Yeah, and you know what? This is what's also just amazing. Remember how the mainstream media has not wanted to cover this? Nope. Folks like you and I, Carl, and a lot of us on the right have kept the issue alive. And now even NBC, Brian Williams, headlined his report saying, you know, the Senate has reduced a bipartisan report saying that the State Department is to blame. It's a scathing report. So the mainstream media has had to eat crow on this.
Well,
and there's more. Senator McCain was on the Senate floor blasting the New York Times because the New York Times recently came out with a report basically whitewashing Benghazi. So I think that there's multiple pieces of good news. Yeah. We've all been vindicated in everything that we said about Benghazi.
Yep.
And the mainstream media has been following our lead.
Yeah.
So to lots of people who say, look, I kind of feel hopeless during these Obama years, I say, look at what we've achieved. The truth has come out on Benghazi. Let's toast to that.
Right, let's do, and let's keep going forward.
Well, and we're seeing that time and time again, Dr. Grace. Think about this. We, the people, by speaking out, that's why we're not dropping bombs in Syria right now.
Yeah. Yeah, think about that.
Absolutely, absolutely right. We do have an impact. We do have an effect. And we are, bit by bit, unmasking this man. His poll numbers continue to drop, and that's because we're beginning to paint a portrait.
Yeah.
You know, it's death by 1,000 cuts. He lied about health care. And now we know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, now it's there in black and white. It's not just everybody crying foul. It's actually there in testimony by Leon Panetta saying he knew right away, and he told the president right away. Now, the question is this. How do you get from, Mr. President, we've been attacked by terrorists, to going in front of the American people, telling them that a spontaneous demonstration was the cause of this attack? The answer still hasn't been given to us because that narrative It didn't come from the ground. So the next series of questions then is, well, who gave the president that narrative? Where did it come from? Because I want to nail the son of a bitch who created that. Because
You're not supposed to say that, Grace.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whoop.
I'm sorry. Whoop.
Okay, let's all apologize so we don't lose our license. Dr. Grace wasn't supposed to say that. Okay.
I said, if you were listening carefully,
yes?
I didn't say it.
That's right. You didn't
say something else. Okay.
That's right. You said
you just lie and say you didn't say it.
Okay, just lie and say you didn't say it, and the media will back you up. All right? She did not say that, people. Yeah. She did not. Are you going to believe your lying ears, or are you going to believe Grace Vuoto? All right, Grace, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just passionate about this, honestly.
I know.
Okay, so we've got to find out now. The next step is, who fed the president that? Where did it come from? Because the president then lied to the American people, and as a result, he won re-election. So we have all been defrauded of the election of 2012 because the American public made their decision based on faulty information that the president gave them. His re-election campaign was premised on the fact that he had decapitated Al-Qaeda, that Al-Qaeda was on the run, and instead, very close to election time, it was clear that Al-Qaeda was alive and well and had dealt a devastating blow to our national security.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Grace, listen, we're going to have to take a quick time out, and this is amazing. And you know what? You were talking about how we were unmasking this man. Grace, you and I talk off the air a lot, and you know where I'm going with this, but just wait till March. I mean, Zulo and Arpaio have stuff that makes Benghazi look like just child's play. I mean, it is unbelievable. And now I think people are going to respond because now we know that the man and the people around him tell lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And it's unmasked. Like you said, it's right before us. Benghazi, Obamacare. I mean, it's right before us. So when Arpaio and Zulo bring what they're bringing, I think America's ready to hear it now. And I think they're going to say, you know what? I believe that.
I think the American people no longer trust him, and I think we're ready to hear what you have to say. We're ready to hear what Zulo has revealed. Yeah, and you has discovered, that is. Yeah, we're ready to hear what he's discovered.
That's right. And and you used the word vindicated a moment ago on Benghazi. Well, we've been vindicated on a lot of things. The birth certificate, that's romper room stuff now. As constitutionally important as that is, it's romper room stuff. That's been 1,000% vindicated. That's why I tell people. But what else is coming down the pike is way bigger than that. So, anyway, listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, you've got to catch us up on Eleanor Fuddy, okay?
It's Loretta Fuddy, Carl. Loretta Fuddy.
I'm sorry. I've got it written down here, Loretta. I know. I'm sorry. You're right. Loretta Fuddy. And I'm going to get you to catch us up on that. That's going to be huge. Folks, you are listening to Carl Gallups on this Freedom Friday out of W. Welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Welcome back, world. And welcome back, Grace Vuoto. So glad that you're with us today. So, Dr. Grace, catch us up on Loretta Fuddy. What's the latest? You wrote an amazing piece last week in the World Tribune about the weirdness of this whole death of one person on a 9-passenger plane. Happens to be the one that certified Obama's birth certificate. Happens to have happened just a few months before all this information is going to come out. You were talking about an autopsy, and within hours, the news media was talking about an autopsy. Tell us about all that.
Yeah, and Carl, that's another example of when you start pressing, you're amazed at the results. You're amazed that, people do respond. So the piece was published on Friday. It was called The Strange Death of Loretta Fuddy. I was on the air with you on Friday night.
Yep.
And then by Monday evening, finally, the Maui police issued a statement about what was the ultimate cause of death. And they said that Loretta Fuddy died as a result of cardiac arrhythmia due to stress, induced by stress, and they deemed this incident to be an accident. Now, we have more questions. The first question is, does it seem like a legitimate narrative based on her health history?
Mm-hmm.
Well, her brother, Louis Fuddy, immediately said to the press she had no history of health problems, of heart problems or health problems. She was healthy and she had no history of heart problems. Usually, someone who has an irregular heartbeat, which is what cardiac arrhythmia is, they have a history of heart problems.
So you're telling me that right after the media puts out this autopsy report, the brother cries junk alert?
Well, you know what else he says? He doesn't actually come out and he says it as coyly, I guess, as he can. The next thing he said is, and she was used to dealing with a lot of stress. It takes very cool nerves to run the Department of Health in Hawaii.
Right. Yeah.
So essentially, he's saying as much as he can say that he has questions about this result.
Right. And don't use a curse word in describing it, Dr. Grace. I know.
No, I've learned my lesson. I'm a proper lady right now.
That's right.
So, listen to this. In addition, if you understand cardiac arrhythmia, usually it's detected through a monitor on your heart while the person is alive. It's very difficult to detect cardiac arrhythmia once the person is dead.
Wow.
Now, it is possible, yes, it's possible that she suffered an irregular heartbeat that led to this kind of an irregular heartbeat that clogged her veins and led to her death. But sometimes when an examiner can't find anything else in the body, they just write cardiac arrhythmia because they don't know what else it could be. So the next step is we still have questions. I thought those lines by the Maui police were too thin, and we should press the family to petition for the release of the autopsy to the public. We should be able to see all of the details of that autopsy. I'm not satisfied. And you know what else I'm not satisfied about? There's actually the footage of the plane crash. And I'm sure lots of the audience has seen it because there was a young man in the back seat who recorded it. And what you see is everybody on that plane was calm.
Right, she was too.
As the plane was hitting the water. Mm-hmm. And everybody coming out of that plane was calm. Nobody was panicking. Nobody was screaming. Nobody was trampling on one another. And then while they're in the water, everybody is calm. And why shouldn't they be calm? Because there's a plane hovering up ahead, basically reassuring them that they're about to be rescued.
Right.
So why would Loretta Fuddy, who has nerves of steel generally, suffer such a massive panic attack or an irregular heartbeat, whatever you want to call it, because she's freaking out that she's about to die when it's clear she's about to be rescued?
And not only that, but we have video footage of her face smiling and laughing as they take video of people. She is not freaking out. She appears to be just fine.
Well, you see, I have to give a lot of credit to the pilot because he basically told, as they were heading towards the water, he said, well, we're all about to take a swim. So he kept everybody very calm. Yeah. And the footage is there for everybody to see. I've never seen a plane crash, a plane going down, where everybody is that calm. And nor have I ever seen an emergency situation where everybody's helping one another and reassuring each other.
Right.
And that's why all of the witnesses said everybody was fine and everybody was doing well. So I'm still concerned about all of this, and I think we need to keep asking questions, keep going on this. It is, in my view, far from over, and I'm still waiting for the National Transportation Safety Board to release its investigation of why the plane went down.
Yeah, well, listen, and Brandon wants to weigh in, but I got to say this. Just remember, right after Obama won the election, he visited Hawaii. He saw two people while he was there, his grandmother and Loretta Fuddy. He left. He gets on an airplane. While he's on the airplane coming back, his grandmother dies. This time he goes to Hawaii. He's there. While he's there, Loretta Fuddy dies. Remember that. He was on vacation.
Are you sure about the dates? Because Loretta Fuddy died December 11, and I think Obama was there a little bit later than that. I'm not sure that that's accurate, but I'll double-check that.
Let's make sure that I'm accurate on that. But that was what I was advised of, that he was actually there on vacation when she died, but I could be wrong. Do you know anything about that, Brandon?
I don't think that he was.
Okay.
But the point I wanted to make
let me just say, if I'm wrong, then I take that back because I want to speak accurately. But that I thought that was correct. But anyway, thank you for correcting me, Dr. Grace. But anyway, just amazing stuff. But Brandon, go ahead.
It's just amazing how many times we see these coincidental deaths like this, and you see one of two things. And in this case, you saw them both. You either see a plane that blows up or crashes, and then you see a heart attack.
Right. Right.
And it's amazing we see them both in this case. So, again, not saying that it's a fact that she was, taken out, But those are two. Do some research into the. I think it was in the 60s and 70s at how many congressmen died in plane crashes.
Well,
it's amazing.
If you did a risk assessment on, I'll have a very low chance of dying in a plane crash, but you don't die of the plane crash, but then you die of this cardiac arrhythmia without a history of health problems in a plane crash. I mean, if you did a risk assessment on that, we had an insurance company actually do a risk assessment.
It's like 1 in 10 billion or something.
I wonder what that statistic would be.
Yeah, and then when you figure in that she just happened to be the director of health, who just happened to certify the birth certificate, who just happened to be was going to be exposed in a few months, and then add all that in, it's like 1 in 10 billion or something. I don't know.
With all the other facts about how calm everybody was, how they knew they were going to be rescued, why would she be so stressed out over it? Well, she's just floating in a life jacket with a plane hovering overhead. They knew they were going to be saved. Where's the stress?
Yeah. Listen, I hear the music.
I mean, yes, I understand that it's traumatic, that everything you've been through, but it still seems to me that you're making the autopsy is making a big leap that I don't see necessarily justified.
No, I agree. Listen, we've got 15 seconds for you to tell people where they can find you, and then we're out of here.
WorldTribune.com, The Strange Death of Loretta Fuddy.
All right, good deal. That's Dr. Grace. Dr. Grace, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next Friday.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.